Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. We are group 3 and we are consist of me, Ala, Aliya Masluhi Hawa, Safa, and Winnie Ratminisi. And we are gonna talk about popular fiction and interdisciplinary theories. And our presentation divided into 4 points. Point 1, popular fiction and culture. Point 2, popular fiction and structuralism. Point 3, semiotic and popular fiction theory. Point 4, post-structuralism and popular fiction. So let's move to the first point, which is popular fiction and culture. Popular fiction and culture are two different things. The first one, which is popular fiction, is referred to fiction that appears as an expression of ideology, but the culture is referred to reality. From a historical point of view, in narrow sense, and also in philosophical point of view, they said fictional literature is a fiction, which means it's a lie. But this still annoying the serious novelists who know very well that fictional is not stranger more than reality, and it shows the truth more. Popular literary criticism was known in the mid 20th century. Why? That's because popular fiction is associated with entertainment and escape. And there are many people who consider it not a form of serious art. Also, the general view among educators, they think reading non-fiction books is good and educational, while fiction books are not good because they mean being lazy. Reality in work of fiction. Later on, the literary theory about popular culture that beginning in the beginning of the 20th century became widespread as academics no longer question whether popular culture is worth researching or not. All people realizing that popular culture is an important part of people's life. Popular art is generally accessible. It is everywhere about us and familiar. It is interesting for what it is. Culture produced cannot exist far from the society who create and use it. Why? Because the culture produced cannot exist far from that society who made this culture and used this culture. So that's why films differ in every culture, because they produce by the people who ideas and culture are shaped. So the films are different from culture to another culture. And there is cultural studies, a new discipline that studies the commodification of culture. Raymond Williams, who considered as the main figure in culturalism, suggests three ways to understand culture. First, culture is considered as an ideal, which is a state or approach toward human perfection in the sense of universal and observed values. Second, there are text documents and cultural practices. Third, there is a social definition of culture because culture is description of a particular way of life. On the other word, culture is description of certain way of life. Here, in the third cultural concept, is considered by William to be the key to studying popular culture, which is including popular fiction too.
The second point is popular fiction and structuralism. Ferdinand de Saussure, in his course in General Linguistics 19 and 16, introduced structuralism in linguistics, which had been historical and philological till then. Saussure saw language as a system. According to this, he divided into first, lang and parole, second, signifier and signified, third, synchronic and diachronic, fourth, syntagmatic and paradigmatic, and fifth, binary opposition. The first is lang. Lang in French means language. Lang is a social moment of language. It refers to language as a structural system based on certain rules. It composed by convention, homogeneous codes, and rules. Lang is what is shared by the community. While parole in French means speech, parole is an individual moment of language. It refers to an individual expression of language. It composed by unpredictable language, variable words, heterogeneous, and whimsical language. Parole is what the individual speaks. The relation of lang and parole can be looked into the chess. It considers the analogy that the game of chess are lang, and the individual moves of chess itself comprise the parole. Next, signifier. Signifier is thing that give a meaning. Signifier is physical existence. It can be word, sound, or image. In brief, signifier is a sound or image as a word that represent an underlying concept or meaning. While signified is what is evoked in the mind. Signified is the mental concept. It is concept or meaning as distinguished from the sign through which it is communicated. For example, the word desk is the signifier. The actual sound when we say it on the written word is the signifier. While the concept of a place where people do tasks is the signifier. The next is synchronic and diachronic. Synchronic is study of language at a particular period of time. One describes a state of language, disregarding whatever changes might be taking place. It aims at describing a language at a specific point of time. General linguistic or descriptive linguistic is typically synchronic study. Diachronic is a development of language over time. It considers the development and evolution of language through history. Historical linguistic or comparative linguistic is typically diachronic study. For example, at time 1, the statement is robot can be conscious. If synchronic, at time 2, the meaning stays the same. Robot can be conscious. Meanwhile, diachronic, at time 1, the statement may be false, but at time 2, the statement may become true. In diachronic, the truth of a value may change. Syntagmatic is elements that mutually influence each other in specification. It is similar things that can be compared with the thing of which the value is to be determined. It is called the level of combination. While paradigmatic is elements which stand in opposition to each other. It is dissimilar thing that can be exchanged for the thing of which the value is to be determined. It is called the level of choice. You can see in the picture, syntagmatic presents by horizontal, while paradigmatic presents by vertical. In syntagmatic, the combination of words cannot be switched randomly because it will change the meaning even it will not have meaning at all. In paradigmatic, the word ridiculous can be exchanged with other adjective words like silly, foolish, etc. The last is binary opposition. Binary opposition is a pair or related terms or concepts that are opposites in meaning. In films, binary opposition is used to help the plot. It has been said to create a balance in the world. For example, a hero and the villain create a storyline where the hero attempts to defeat the villain.
I'm Safa and I will present about third point about semiotic theory and popular fiction. What is semiotic? Okay, semiotic is theory and study of sign and symbol, especially as elements of language or other system of communication. Common examples of semiotic include traffic signs, emoji, and emoticon used in logos or brands. In semiotic, a sign is anything that communicates meaning that is not the sign itself to the interpreter of the sign. The meaning can be intentional, such as symptom, a sign of a particular medical condition. Signs can communicate through any of the senses: visual, auditory, tactile, olfactory, or taste. Two major theories describes the way signs acquire the ability to transfer information. Both theories understand the defining property of the sign as a relation between a number of elements. Semiotics according to Ferdinand de Saussure. According to Saussure, a sign is composed of the signifier and the signified. These cannot be conceptualized as separate entities, but rather as a mapping from significant different. A famous thesis by Saussure states that the relationship between a sign and the real world thing it denotes is an arbitrary one. The Saussurean sign exists only at the level of the synchronic system. And then semiotics according to Charles Sanders Peirce. A sign according to Peirce, he stated that I define sign as anything which is so determined by something else called its object, and so determines an effect upon a person, which effect I call its interpretant. That the latter is immediately determined by the former. A sign depends on an object in a way that enables an interpretant, to depend on the object as the sign depends on the object. The interpretant then is a further sign of the object. Okay, the next is Peirce's theory of signs. There are a sign, an object, and the interpretant. A sign, for the sake of simplicity, we can think of the sign as the signifier. For example, a written word, an utterance, a smoke as a sign for fire. An object. The object, on the other hand, is best thought
of as whatever is signified. For example, the object to which the written word attaches, or the fire signified by the smoke. The interpretant is best thought of as the understanding that we have of the sign or object relation. Semiotic theory on popular fiction. Even though the basis of science studies dates back to the Middle Ages, it has gained its technicality after the first half of the 20th century by the works of Peirce and Saussure as pioneers of modern semiotics. Semiotics has become more scientific as the description of science and their relationship with each other can now be analyzed consistently due to these progressive developments. In the early 1960s, semiotics appeared in the film theory that initiated by Christian Metz. According to Metz, film is consists of elements that reflect bicultural paradigms. This theory is depending on detailed analysis of certain forms. Matt's trying to get the point that films can be understood by using some science. For example, editing, framing, lighting, or non-cinematic science, such as costume, dialogue, face expression, gesture, and many more. Code always differs from message is in that one is code and other is message. And even if the complete list of what one finds in the message were identical with the total list of what one introduces into the code, it would still be true that these traits should be understood in the future as being associated with one another throughout a given discourse, and thus linked by the coherence of a logic which is always said. It can be underlined that if in semiotic we just analyze a text, we also have to analyze its audience. According to Lewis, that the theory of the sign should be seen as invoking the audience, not as departing from it. Semiology has theoretical and methodological power to enable the analytic and interpretive bridge between cultural production and systems of meaning.
Winnie. Okay, let's continue our discussion about post-structuralism and popular fiction. Post-structuralism emerged in the late 1960s. This theory is considered to have emerged as a reaction against structuralism and ideas that saw language as a stable and closed system. Post-structuralism absorbed various aspects of structural linguistics by making it a criticism that is considered capable of transcending structuralism. Writers whose works are often characterized that as post-structuralists include Ronald Barthes, Jacques Derrida, Michel Foucault, Gilles Delacroix, Judith Butler, Jean Paul Dirain, and Julia Kristeva. And then study method. When cultural studies emerged in the 1970 and early 1980, the integration of psychoanalysis and post-structuralism and semiology took place. This theoretical change is also related to develops in literary theory and text interpretation. However, among the various kinds of ideas that can be used as a basis for thinking in popular fiction research is the theory of post-structuralism. And then, sorry, occurred if social so meaning in language as a result or signifier or signifiers. Post-structuralists agree that signifiers do not produce signifier, they produce more signifier. Clayton also agreed that meaning was not necessarily present in sign. And then, Derrida in 1981, on the other hand, another post-structuralist thinker is Derrida. The French social thinker came up with the concept of disconstruction. In this case, Derrida contributed to providing a method
of this contraction in saying image a symbol or a sign, but in this theory considered absurd by many experts. Then Derrida reintroduced his theory, namely the difference. The theory of difference, which takes the term from French, refers to a process and took the process and opposition is reproduced. And then Derrida also argued that the concept of the social sign was found with phonocentric, which is a view that phonetic sound can represent the meaning present in speaker continuousness. Conceptual relationship between structuralists and post-structuralists. Post-structuralism is a term for philosophical, theoretical, and literary forms of theory that build upon and reject ideas established by structuralism. And then feminist theory or feminist criticism. Feminist literary criticism is related to women's writing and the representation of women's condition in literary works, especially the depiction of fictional female characters. Thyssen provides a summary of the six foundations of feminist literary criticism. First, the fact that women are under the pleasure of the patriarchal system in various aspects. Second, in every realm of patriarchy, women are other people, so that their objective marginalized defined only because of their difference with male norms and values that define by what appears less to women and more to themselves. 3. All Western civilization is deeply rooted in a patriarchal ideology. Fourth, if biology determines the sex of male or female, cultures determine masculine or feminine gender. 5. All feminine activities, including feminist literary theory and criticism, have the aim of change the world by promoting women's equality. 6. Talk of gender continues to be invoked in every aspect of human production and experience, including literary production and experience.
And that was all from us. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.